A black woman who moved from the U.S. to Russia to escape discrimination and racism revealed on social media that the entire plan backfired on her in a disturbing way. Francine Villa was born in Russia but moved to the U.S. with her family when she was a kid. In a heartbreaking video, Francine claims that both she and her baby were brutally attacked by racist neighbors in Moscow. She detailed the alleged assault on Instagram. Now, the fact that the attack occurred in her homeland is an extra painful blow. Villa had previously spoken about her move in the 2020 documentary Back in the USSR, which aired on the Russian state media channel RT. Villa said that her great-grandfather George Tynes, who hails from Virginia, worked as an agriculturalist after moving to the Soviet Union in the 1930s. Now, much of her family still lives there, but at a young age, she moved with her mother to the United States. It was there that she spent most of her life until experiencing what she described as a traumatizing experience with police. Villa explained in the documentary that she'd approached officers for help during an emergency, but that they turned on her instead, throwing her to the ground. It was then that she decided it was time to leave. That was back in 2019. Here is how she explained it. Quote, "Why did I make up my mind to move to Russia? I wanted to leave a country where I was facing discrimination. After a year living in Moscow, she told RT, quote, I feel free living in Russia because in Russia, no matter what time it is, I can walk outside and I'm safe." 5 years later, that proved to be a fantasy. Following the alleged attack, Villa took to Instagram with blood still on her face, saying a couple in her apartment building beat her with fists.
So basically what we're talking about here is there's a difference between perceived racism, because see, we don't know what really happened in the whole situation where she called the police, right? Only thing that we know is that she is selling, and she is also on the train when she was here in the United States of America. She was on the train of running in the Victim Olympics, lack of accountability, so on and so forth. And so what she did was she went back to her originally born home country, which was Russia, and she was celebrating it, and then it had all of these great things to say about it. Cool. Nobody tripping about it. You are absolutely out here in the streets. You feel like you safe or whatever. And then she experienced what people really felt about her real racism, right? Because again, we don't even know what really happened. We don't know if she was an offender. She probably was the victim. Obviously, I'm never an advocate for anybody putting their hands on anybody. But see, you can't change the cultural norms and have any say-so in a country where you weren't raised, or can you, right? Because now this was your Negro wake-up call about all of the fake racism here in the United States of America. And we are indoctrinated, and there is so much propaganda, especially that is held up by the liberal left, that would lead you to believe that we are under duress, that everything is so bad, that America is the worst country in the world. When in reality, if you travel the world, if you experience and get to see what the cultural norms, not just at the resorts, not just where you can go and buy pussy, not where you just go and visit and you get off on a cruise ship, not just where you can go with the touristy areas, but when you actually go and live and experience and see how people live, you will have a completely different perspective on what you think racism is, or just have a completely different perspective of the liberties and the blessings and the lack of censorship. And I mean, even when we were being more censored during the Biden administration, it wasn't anywhere near what they are experiencing in a communist China, right? Like, I see now lately there's been a lot of creators that are bigging up and going and visit places like China. Man, China isn't, if you like, they doing that, right? And so there's propaganda that's being spilled, but you don't know nothing about, an email. You can't even send an email out of China without it being filtered through. And now they're leveraging technology to ensure that you're not saying anything negative against the government. Try to criticize a leader, because everybody is it's like going to visit some place that you never visited before, or getting with a chick that's new, right? Everything is going to be great in the honeymoon phase. Say something negatively about the leadership, similarly to how we criticize our leadership here in the United States of America, whether it's a government official, as far as a governor, our mayors. We criticize the Biden administration. A lot of people criticize the Trump administration. Have your own free thoughts and then voice it out loud on their platforms and see what happened. When y'all thought TikTok was going down, y'all was getting censored on that Red Panda or whatever, that Red Note or whatever the app is, and y'all was pissed like, oh, they don't play that. You can't, you know what I'm saying, wear your titties out. You can't just say what you want to say. You can't do 304 talk over there. You was feeling some type of way because, you know, you had a level of censorship or they was actually holding you accountable for some of the things that they didn't agree with as far as what they established as a cultural norm over in another country. And so her perceived discrimination was completely different from her real experience. And when you got a real experience and they kicked your ass over there and they had you bleeding out of the mouth, now you get to see how safe you feel. But see, you take you wherever it is that you go with you. And so now that you jumping on social media, don't nobody care because you're not necessarily here inside of the United States of America and we can't do nothing about it anyway.
Face, saying a couple in her apartment building beat her with fists while she was with her 2-year-old and yelled racial slurs at her in Russian. In edited
Yeah, they called you black ass, huh?
footage shared by Villa of the incident, the couple can be seen arguing with her in the hallway of her building, threatening to throw out her belongings while she was seemingly blocked from entering her own apartment.
Вы в России давно живете?
А у вас прописка есть здесь? Прописка?
Да, мне войти в мою квартиру.
Прописка есть?
Да,
Почему вы ко мне на «ты»?
я не могу выйти и входить в свою квартиру. Напугает моего ребенка.
Кого? Он пуганный, плачет, бедняжка. Да, зайка, ты плачешь, да? Плачешь, зайка?
Now, she accuses her neighbors of changing the locks, cutting off the electricity, and even tossing her baby's stroller down the stairs. She also claims her child was left with bruises following the incident. In footage taken from a hospital, Villa can be seen weeping in distress in the aftermath of this alleged attack.
Yeah, they sound like they was actually her landlord, to be honest with you. That's what it sounded like, because if they had the ability to prevent her from going into her apartment, as well as being able to change the locks and cutting off the electricity, it sounded like it was a discussion with regard to that. Now, what I am also wondering is what happened to the footage where they actually mollywopped her and gave her a real wake-up call so that she could, you know, get her black ass together. No, we don't want you here in America now. I want you to stay put, stay safe where you are with your child. I don't hear anything about a baby daddy or a father of the child being participatory. I would like to think that I would be absolutely worried about my child if I was the guy that is the mother of your, whatever, the father of your child. But we not having that context and that discussion and that conversation. I do know that there are a lot of people that are making the assumption, let's just say the assumption, that maybe she was running her mouth with the wrong one and they wasn't tolerant of you running your mouth the same way that you can run your mouth over here in the United States of America. But again, we don't know. The only thing that we can do is assume because we get the story secondhand. But the thing that I do know and what I am looking at is a bleeding mouth, a swollen lip, look like a swollen face, and she might be in the hospital in this picture that she's communicating. And I don't know why she's looking for sympathy. You all the way over in Russia. You over in Russia. What are you looking for sympathy for? And that obviously she moved out over there before the Ukraine war, the Ukraine-Russia war. So that also plays a role. Ultimately, for me personally, I just love America. I love what it is that happens inside of America. I don't want to be anywhere else except for America. People can say what they want to about what they think that it is. I am 100% it through and through, and I'm a completely rock with it. Let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. There's a huge difference between perceived racism and real racism.